Hi, and welcome to the ongoing Ruby Heart of the Dragon live stream with Soul Level Astrologer Mark Borax, where he has been taking us on a ride through his new book, the Ruby Heart of the Dragon. Today, we are going to be taking a deep dive into my favorite sign, Aquarius, and the theme of unity.
You narcissist.
Aren't all of us Aquarians? But just kidding.
Thank you, Brooke, and welcome everyone to the Ruby live streams in conjunction with the release of my new book, The Ruby Heart of the Dragon, Sun Signs for Our Times, in which I tear down the 12 signs of the zodiac and build them back up again from the soul. It's a powerful journey, and I'm still on it. And the purpose of these live streams each week is for me to take an idea that comes from one of the 12 chapters and talk about it, open it up, share it, give it some air. Today, we've reached the 11th sign of Aquarius, the penultimate sign. And Aquarians are among the most awakened and evolved beings on the planet, and therefore have a really tough time of it. And so it's a mixed blessing. You might think that being that awake would release you from the challenges and the obstacles, but it actually doesn't. In fact, a genuine enlightenment plants you right back into the challenges and obstacles and muck and shit and compost and karma, so you can get your hands in it, so you can shovel the shit, so you could turn karma to grace. So to be that awakened as the most awakened Aquarians among us is a real challenge. It's not a get out of jail free card. It's much the opposite. And so what does it mean to be awake on the Aquarian wavelength? And what does it mean to be awake to the Aquarian parts of you and me? Because we all have all the 12 signs, but in some unique blend. So what does that mean to awaken to the Aquarian side of things? Well, it's actually very simple what it means. It's not complicated. It's just very hard to stick with it, to follow it. But the Aquarian awakening is something that almost every child and animal knows, and most humans have forgotten. We're all parts of each other. I belong to you. You belong to me. We all belong to Earth and Spirit and ourselves. And so the Aquarian awakening is the realization of the interconnected wholeness of all things. That doesn't mean that bad things don't happen. Not at all. The interconnectedness of all things isn't meant to exclude you from showing up and learning your karmic lessons in the school of Earth. The interconnected wholeness of all things is meant to make you realize that however isolated and entrapped you feel, you're never alone. You can't be alone. You couldn't be alone any more than an electron could be alone and apart from a proton or neutron. You can't be alone. Why can't you be alone? Because first of all, there are so many yous inside you. You're not a monodimensional creature. You're a multidimensional creature. Even inside you are many beings. Your past lives and your childhood and your dreams and your karma. Many parts of you that the astrology map is meant to reflect on a soul level, the various parts of you. You might be an Aquarius with Venus in Capricorn and Mars in Cancer. Or you might be an Aquarius with Venus in Sagittarius and Mars in Libra. So you can't be alone because there are so many dimensions of you, most of which you're probably not consciously aware of. Some of those dimensions you might be subliminally aware of. Some you might be consciously aware of. Many of the dimensions of yourself you're unaware of because modern life sucks at educating people as to their multidimensional nature. And modern life excels at forcing people to inhabit their monodimensional nature. I am a Republican. I am a white man. I'm a girl. So even inside you, at your most isolated feeling moments and your helplessness, there are so many dimensions you can awaken and activate and call on inside yourself. But you're also never alone because we swim through spirit. Spirit is everywhere. Spirit permeates even the modern melees. The anti-love war machine of modern time is permeated with spirit. So you're never alone because when you summon the spirit forces that are working with you and trying to get your attention, and you wake up and you signal to them, you're ready. When you signal to your higher nature, I'm ready. I've been running around like a human fool. I've been running around like a sacred cosmic idiot for so many lifetimes, and I'm ready to listen to what you have to tell me now. You got my attention. That moment of awakening doesn't exempt you from continuing to learn your lessons. It actually enforces the rightfulness of you sticking around in human incarnation to learn the lessons of karma and shadow, not just prematurely jump out of here, go off with unicorns. It's an awakening on the Aquarian level, and we're all moving through the age of Aquarius right now. Is the awakening that almost every child and animal knows, that we are all parts of each other. We all belong to each other. And the best expression of this I've ever heard comes from Rudolf Steiner. Steiner wasn't an Aquarian. He's the next sign, Pisces, but he couldn't have been more invoking the deepest soul level truth of Aquarius in these following words. When tempted to find an imperfection in the universe, you'll make progress if you assume the flaw is more due to your temporary failure to grasp the underlying web of unity that connects all things rather than an actual imperfection. I'm going to say that again. I'm going to say that 2 more times. When tempted to find an imperfection in the universe, you'll make progress if you assume the flaw is more due to your temporary failure to grasp the underlying web of unity that connects all things rather than an actual imperfection. When tempted to find an imperfection in the universe, you'll make progress if you assume the flaw is more due to your temporary failure to grasp the underlying web of unity, the underlying web of unity that connects all things rather than an actual imperfection. This is going to knock the socks off your ego if you let this in. This is medicine. This is a homeopathic tablet. And homeopathy is based on that the tablet that will cure you has to have a bit of the poison that infected you in it. It's a shaman. It's a snake venom To cure snake poison, you need a little bit of the poison mixed with something else. This is a homeopathic tablet to cure the fatal poisons of Western civilization at this moment on Earth. That's what this is. It's not just words, it's a tablet. It has to dissolve in your system. When tempted to find an imperfection in the universe, any fucking imperfection in the universe, whether you just got cancer and you never told your father you love him, or whether you've just won the lottery and gained $10 billion, or whether you've just fallen in love with the love of your dreams, or whether you've just gotten divorced, when tempted to find an imperfection, if you assume that flaw isn't an actual imperfection, it's only due to your temporary failure to grasp the underlying web of unity. Steiner's web, that's what I call this. The underlying web of unity that connects all things rather than an actual imperfection. Why is this an antidote to the poison of our time? Because, first of all, it's not a spiritual bypass. It does not advocate ignoring the wrongness. It's not saying everything's great and just ascend and transcend and won't it be amazing because you won't have to deal with it. It is not saying that. It's saying that thing that looks wrong, like rape or death or war in Ukraine or the fact that the CIA killed Kennedy or Hitler, any imperfection, personal or collective, anywhere, might only appear to be a flaw because you fell out of Steiner's web of unity that connects all things. The thing isn't really an imperfection. It might be evil. I'm not saying Hitler's great. It might be horrifying, but it only looks isolated because out of the multidimensional channels of your own nature and your own existence, you shut off 9,000 of them and tuned into some dominant paradigm, some current lie, some current myth. You got snookered by the New York Times. You got sucked into a corporate view, and you forgot that you're magic and you're made of love and you're connected to angels and you're connected to fairies and elementals and your own soul and all your past lives. And you know this when you drop acid. The Aquarian age knows this because we all dropped acid as a species in the 60s. And what we got out of that was you're not part of a dead, dying structure. You got to break out of those thought forms and realize that you're made of love and everything's connected. Aquarius was born knowing this and has the hardest fucking time living it because every time you try and live that way, you bash into all the forces of resistance and denial and projection in modern culture. You can't just get away with being loved. They wouldn't let us get away with it. What do I mean by they? The CIA, the FBI, and the Nixon administration, Johnson administration. They launched Project Mockingbird, Operation Mockingbird. You can look this up, where the CIA replaced newscasters and article writers around the world and in our own country with CIA trained operatives who were trained on how to launch a misinformation campaign. And the campaign was designed to make everyone think that the great changes of the 1960s were only due to too much acid. They had no basis in reality. It was like pipe dreams of the hippies. Forget about it. That was one of their orders. And their second big order was do not allow blacks and whites to come together, to put their differences aside. Fan the flames of bigotry as much as you can. Keep the races apart. Those were the two orders of the CIA operatives, hundreds and hundreds of them, that were placed into Western media starting in the 1950s and accelerating in the 1960s, when love became the greatest threat to the powers that be, which is why Alan Dulles of the CIA ordered the hit on JFK, which just came out a few months ago. But even those imperfections, if you assume that you're somehow missing the strands of interconnectedness that connects those things to other things in the grand design of wholeness rather than separation, integration rather than segregation, you'll make progress. Steiner's not telling you to ignore everything that's fucked up and prematurely transcend and pat yourself on the back for being so spiritual. He's saying, consider the fact that the CIA's demolishing of the love generation and the current media Orwellism, the newspeak of Big Brother, the thought police preventing love from happening, that there's still something about that that's connected and woven into the fabric of all things, including you and me. So what is it? What are those things that holistically connect the fear and bigotry and delusion of the current moment with the whole universe without and within? That's what we have to find out. Okay, Brooke, any questions or comments?
I would like to put on here, because I think this is very powerful and people are, this is like that type of, when you work that magic, it really goes into the soul and you start feeling something here.
Yeah.
Right here, this is everything.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a comment from a Facebook user, and it's, oh man, your timing is spot on. I needed to hear this at this exact moment. I needed to hear this temporary failure to grasp the underlying web of unity. And thank you, Facebook user, for weighing in like that, because part of Steiner's web of unity is that time and space are nowhere near as segregated as they appear to be to the modern Western thinking. We can unbind time. And so in the multidimensional universe, you have other existences that coincide with your existence in the gross physical plane. The physical plane itself has different dimensions, and the gross physical plane is overt everyday existence as reflected walking down the sidewalks of life or on the news media. That has a truth to it. It's not totally false, but it's just the outer shell of the etheric physical dimension, where you have a personal world, you have a personal universe that you always inhabit, regardless of what your external nature is doing with other people in society. You might be teaching a class of second graders in public school. You might be making love to someone for the first time or for the 100th time. You might be listening to music or riding the bus, but the inner universe that you inhabit is a multidimensional world of forces and knowings moving through you and connecting with other beings. When we unbind time, space becomes limitless, because now in the little space of the 3 seconds between meeting someone on the sidewalk and choosing how to respond to them, in that 3 seconds, a universe occurs. You're not bound by the clock. As you tune in to the interconnected web of unity that connects all things, it's like learning cosmic acupuncture or acupressure or iridology, where just like with acupuncture, Aquarius is acupuncture and all things like it. If you have a problem, if Brooke has a problem with her kidneys, if I put a needle into her shin, I reach the same meridian as her kidney channel. If I put 2 needles into her shoulder blade on that same meridian, I can unblock her kidney chi. I can let it flow instead of be trapped, right? You might want to add diet in there and pulse diagnosis and other things. But just like the human body, so too the body of the cosmos. The universe is a single organism on a much different scale than the human body, but with the same operating mechanics. So it behooves your ankle to put up least resistance to the flow of your whole body's energies. Because if your ankle doesn't resist the overall flow, your kidneys and eyes don't have to work harder because your ankle didn't block the system. Your ankle isn't a totally separate entity from your nose and your brain and your sex organs. It behooves each of those things to open to the greater flow with the least resistance, because then it doesn't jam up the system of your body so that other parts of it have to compensate. It's the same with the body of humanity or the body of the universe. If Earth gets all blocked psychically, which it is, with human ignorance, if Earth gets blocked, the whole universe suffers. Anytime there's a blockage in one part and a resistance, like a species on a lonely planet starts to resist the web of unity and act against it, fight against unity, insist upon separation and segregation and bigotry, it behooves the universe to needle Mars and a comet and New Jersey so that galactic meridian can free itself with greater forces of the interconnected whole. So when the Facebook user says my timing's spot on, how could it not be? Anything else, Brooke? Any final questions or comments?
Well, I mean, as an Aquarius, you are speaking to the heart of probably my existence, because there's always that war inside of me where there's times when I'm totally just done with humanity, like it's just, I see everything and I'm like, oh, how are we ever going to? But then there is that whole, you step back, like you said, in that we are all one. There's unity, there's a flow, and what you're going through, I'm going through, just maybe at different times.
That's right.
I mean,
That's
you taught me that, obviously as your former student, but it was very powerful medicine to sort of understand the warring that I have within me about society and where we're going and how we can support each other, support the earth, and, not become, the two paths that we're going, and not go down the shithole, and make it like our last march, down that path.
Yeah, like the last march of the Ents.
Yeah.
Through Middle Earth. It's like the giant human ego, the obsolete medieval fractured consciousness has to dissolve into the 1960s realization that all you need is love. And John was right when he said all you need is love. John Lennon wrote that song for the occasion of the world's first satellite broadcast. So for the first time in history, one man was going to speak to the entire world. And it was John Lennon. He went home and said, oh my God, if I'm the first human being in history to talk to the planet, what can I tell them? Well, all you need is love. And, John didn't hang around the physical plane long enough to add to that, but it has to go deep and last long. He didn't get to add that to the song, which that's been my life since 1968. Just taking John's truth. All you need is love, but it has to go deep and last long to counter the anti-love and the nada love and the never love and the non-love that's just fanned by the flames of fear and separation. So in you, when you begin to integrate Steiner's web, just the truth of every single part of you is totally interconnected, and it could not be. So are you connected as a cell in the greater entity of humanity, which is all one. And so are you a cell in the greater body of the universe, the 7 ancient planets being chakras of our solar system. The 7 chakras, the 7 planets of our solar system. You're absolutely interconnected with them. And you're also totally interwoven permanently with each past life that you had. Of course you are. How could you not be? You're not limited by their limitations, but they're part of your cellular fabric. And so the whole universe acts exactly like a single human body. It's the Steiner's web of unity that you always know this on an acid trip or an ayahuasca journey or falling in love or deep meditation or deep lovemaking, communion in the garden of ecstasy, dancing up on the top of the mountain to the drums. You always know that even the deep under rhythms of discord and karma are just there to spring your love, to awaken you to the wholeness. You could never not be whole. It's a dark fantasy that you're all alone and isolated. And when you overcome that on a feeling level throughout your body, the circulatory system of Aquarius gets to renew itself, especially in the next 20 years, with Pluto going through Aquarius for the first time since the American Revolution, the French Revolution, and the Haitian Revolution. Pluto is back in Aquarius for the first time in 248 years. And in the next 20 years, we are being summoned to remember we are all one. We're all whole. We are all interconnected, and not just remember it, but live it and make love to it and act on it and eat it and digest it and fuck it. Put your hands on the love and bring it into your chest deeper than the division. Thank you for joining me in the unity of Aquarian age. We all belong to each other. And thank you, Brooke. Is any final things you want to say? Well, let's tell people my book is out. My ebook is out. The Ruby Heart of the Dragon, Sun Signs for Our Times. You can get it in 2 seconds. The print version is really close to being released on June 13th. You can pre-order the print version. And I think you get a free ebook if you order it. Read the book and write a review for Amazon. I would so love for you to do that. If you get the ebook, you have to read at least 2/3 of the way through, or Amazon will flag the review. Amazon knows what you're reading. So go at least, get at least a Capricorn before writing the review. And the audiobook, which I narrated myself, is going to be out really soon. And I know Brooke has the hots for that. She just cannot wait to sit down with Mark Borax talking to her and her alone, or maybe your friends. You should have a listening party. You should get your friends, especially if you have Aquarian friends. You should all listen.
Absolutely.
That would be cool. Listening parties to my audiobook. Oh, that's a great idea.
I love that.
Thanks for thinking of it, Brooke.
Anytime. That's what we do as Aquarians on the slide.
I'm the dummy. You're the ventriloquist in Steiner's web. Anything else you want to add? Thank you. Thank you so much, Brooke.
No, I mean, this was just wonderful. I mean, I do want to add, just because being a former student, that, if this is something that's really of interest of you, to you, that there's going to be a summer self-study program for Soul Level Astrology to really dive really deep into this work. And it's totally more than you're learning astrology. It's you're really learning how to navigate life. It has changed my entire life. And I just highly recommend that if you're interested in this and interested in what Mark is teaching, to have a look for yourself. So you can go to soullevelastrology.com for more information, and we'll be opening up enrollment soon.
Thank you, Brooke, for that
Yeah.
sincere and heartfelt testimony. I appreciate you speaking of our teaching and the sacredness and the transformative power. We're 1 year of the way through a 3-year training program. You can still come in this summer by catching up on the recordings of the first 2 semesters. Then you can join us each week on the Zoom calls in September for semester 3. This is the last time we open the doors of any program, is after semester 2 and before level 3. You can spend the summer catching up, and you can join us. We meet each week from September to December and February through May. And once a year, people are invited to sit with us at our home in Vermont, which is just coming in 2 weeks. I am so excited. Brooke, you got to get your ass there. You better.
I know.
You got to come here, man.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna let you sneak off without it. So
quick drive too. It's not so bad. And just saying, I was a summer self-study student and then jumped into the second year, and it's actually an amazing experience to do.
Yeah, thanks, Brooke. What were you saying?
Yeah, I'm just saying I was the summer self-study student, and it's actually an amazing experience to have all that information in the summer. It's an initiation. I highly recommend.
That's wild, yeah, because from the viewpoint of our summer self-study students, everyone else bears their soul to you, and you don't bear nothing.
Yeah,
you're the ultimate voyeur. You're like staring not just at people's naked bodies, but their naked souls, and they're like, haha, I know them and they don't know me. And then you got to come in there and it's like, whoa, now Brooke, now you have to be there.
Yeah, it was interesting, but it was pretty awesome. Even getting to know you and you not knowing that I'm getting to know you.
You know, sneak. No wonder. That explains a lot. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Go out and buy my book. It's an incredible read. There's never been an astrology book like it. And it's my deep offering to live up to and make good on a Steiner's web. Thank you for joining us in the land of story. Take care, everyone. Till we meet again.